So I'm going to show you a series of racket tricks. They're basically racket handling exercises, because often when children come to tennis for the first time, they've never had a racket in their hand before. So we need to get them comfortable waving it about or moving it with it in their hands. So the first thing that we're going to do is, I would usually give each of them a marker to define their area of working in. It could be a line. I use lines a lot because they're flat, but it could easily be a cone or a disc like that, or a hula hoop, whatever you've got in your cupboard. So we're going to start off with putting the racket on the ground like this. I am going to shout out a body part. You have to touch that body part, and then you have to rescue your racket before it hits the ground. So if I said knees, tummy, shoulder, nose, head. I could do it with my left hand, ear, toes, eye, elbow. So you do it right hand or left hand, or even with both hands. Next one, we have the racket absolutely upright, and we're going to try to spin it. So we're going to try and make it spin, and this is all about turning your wrist. In tennis, your wrist needs to go this way, and this way when you're serving. So your wrist has to be flexible. So we're going to spin it, trap it with both hands before it hits the ground. If you can do that, you spin it, catch with one hand, spin it, catch with the other hand. And because tennis is a two-sided sport, we do everything with right hand and left hand because we have to develop coordination on both sides of the body. So I'll spin it and catch like that. I'm going to pop it into my hand, and I'm going to try and spin it in my hand. So it's nice and loose here, and I spin it. I'm turning it that way, and I'm turning it that way. You can do that, spin it, let it go, catch with both hands. Spin it, let it go, catch with one hand. Spin it, catch with the other hand. I'm going to put the racket in my favorite hand, pass it to the other hand, around my back. Start quite slowly. When I get used to it, I'm going to go faster. And when I shout out change, you're going to change direction, change. Because in tennis, you have to hit, move, and think. Change. Just makes you think. You can do that. You're going to switch and go through your legs. Because in tennis, your arms and legs are moving at the same time. Next one, for quick reactions. You need to have quick eyes and quick hands to be able to play tennis well. So fingertips on each end of the racket, hold it out at head height. I'm going to let it drop. I'm going to catch it underneath with my palms outstretched. I'm going to try and catch it as close as I can to where I dropped it so that my hands have to move quickly. If you can do that, then you're going to track it to your tummy and catch it at your tummy. Very important in tennis that you're able to track the ball and send it and receive it, and to be able to play at different parts of your body, because we never know where the ball's going because somebody else hits it. Could be right side, left side, up here, at your ankles. So quick reactions are really important. I'm going to catch it at my knees, at my ankles. I'm going to try and catch it with one hand. So I catch it from above like a claw. So I let it drop and I grab it. I'm going to catch it at my tummy, and then at my knees, and then at my ankles. So all the way to my ankles before I catch it. If we can do that, I'm going to try and catch it with the other hand. So I let it drop. I have to be even quicker because I've got to get to the other side of the racket. And then I'm going to my tummy, and then my knees, and then my ankles. And to be able to play tennis, you need to be flexible, which basically means I need to be really bendy. So I'm going to create a little bridge out of my racket, fingertips on each end again, and I have to get across my bridge without letting go of either end. So I pick my knee up, I step over, I pick the other knee up, and now my bridge is behind me, and I have to find a way to get backwards over my bridge to where I started. Now, if you're doing this and demonstrating it to the class and you find it difficult because you're very tall or you're not very flexible, just set the challenge and ask one of the kids to demonstrate it, because there'll be somebody in the class who can do it perfectly. But the key is picking your knees up. In tennis, we play lots of shots above our head. The serve is the shot that starts the game off, and we also hit things called smashes. And in life nowadays, children don't do much above their heads. They don't look up because they're always doing this. and they don't have both hands working above their heads in the way that maybe we used to when we climbed trees and monkey bars and so forth. So usually this is the hardest thing for them to learn and therefore for us to teach. So I point to the sky or the roof, I reach up with both hands, and I'm very simply passing the racket from one hand to the other. So it's actually making me do all of those things I just spoke about. If we were able to do that, we can open our arms further and let the racket fly a little bit. So I'm having to track it, I'm having to concentrate, and I'm having to try and catch it by the handle. And our last little exercise, we're going to turn into a competition. Big believer in creating challenges and competition within PE or tennis sessions in a fun, simple way. So with all competitions, you would have time to practice for your competition. So we would give the children maybe 30 seconds to practice this, and then the competition would start. So this is all about keeping the racket up on your fingertips or on the palm of your hand. The tip is that the head of the racket is right in front of your head, and you look right into the middle of the strings. So your 30 seconds would allow you to practice like this. You can move around as much as you like, but you have to concentrate on the middle of the strings. When we go toot, 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 the practice is over, the competition will start. And if you lose control of the racket, if it hits the ground or it hits somebody else, or we see you holding onto the handle of the racket, you are out and you sit down. And so the last one standing will be the winner of the competition. Often this lets you identify who concentrates the best, who has the best balance or spatial awareness perhaps, and also who's competitive. So it would start like this, and the key is to keep looking at the racket, because if you don't, you won't be able to control it.